Do top 10 lists actually matter at all anymore? I don't care if you're talking about the top 10 hottest, the investment lists, any of these other things. Do they actually matter anymore? And before you say, Nick, you guys are just hating on all of the top 10 lists, or you're just hating on things because of who do them, I actually don't care. I find top 10 lists enjoyable for the most part. I think they're interesting, but do they actually matter? And here is why, and it's something I haven't even thought about really until a book I sold ended up on the top 10 list that was around on a specific app. Now, it was this post right here, this app. Dustin sent it over to me, and he was like, dude, was this your book? Because it was a Mark Jewelers. It was a 3.0. It's an ASM 129, sold very recently for a certain amount. And then it was blasted, and it was on these top lists as, oh, this mass increase in sales price. It's trending upwards, when in fact, it's actually on a massive decline, a pretty steep decline. And how do I know that? Because, well, I bought this book in April on a whim, literally walked up, and if you've been a fan of the channel, you have probably heard the story in the past, but I walked up at a convention, saw the book, was like, oh, this is one of the last books I need outside of ASM 1, and I offered the guy $300 less than what he was asking for it, before I saw it had a tear out of the bottom right hand corner. Now, I don't care how nice a book looks, and if it wasn't torn, this book would have presented like an 8.590 easily. It was beautiful, but he took it, and that was my mistake. I just was on a whim. I was trying to negotiate. I mean, you throw out a $300 less offer, I assumed he wasn't going to say yes, but he did. So after I saw the book, I saw it was Mark Jewelers. It was a 3.0, but I would rather have a complete cover, even if it was a little less in decent shape. That's just the way I am. I'd rather have a beat up 3.0 cover, but complete, than this really nice copy with the corner kind of torn off. But with that being said, I bought it at a convention on a whim, gave him the money, and then, as all things have happened basically since April, crash. Comic books have crashed. So I throw it up on eBay, hoping I might be able to recoup my cost before it cuts too far down, because in my opinion only, don't take this as the law or the word of God in comic book investing or prices, but I feel like we're still in for a very serious decline in comic book prices. Now, ASM 129, first appearance of the Punisher and Jackal. So, it's a big book, but I was hoping maybe if I throw it up towards Christmas time, maybe some bonus money's getting around, stuff like that, maybe I'd be able to recoup my costs. So I'm clean, and I can later on wait and go buy another 2.530 for a few $100 in 6 months to a year is what I'm thinking. So I throw it up, didn't go so well. It sold for $1,000. Now I put it up at a minimum of $1,000 because that's where I was like, you know what, if it sells for $1,000, at least that's $1,000 I have, and I can live with it. But I didn't want to take half or even worse on a loss. So anywho's, Dustin sends me this, and he's like, look, there's your book, and they're talking about it's on a massive increase, when in fact it's not. They are significantly lower than what they were 6 months, 9 months, 12 months ago. Now, the point of all of this is, should we actually take these lists seriously? Should we really dig in too deep on them? Because, and this is where the thought came, they can't track con sales, they can't track private sales, they can't track Instagram sales. There are so many places comic books are being sold outside of your eBays and a few auction houses that they really don't have a good set of data anymore on true comic book prices. While eBay is a good place on occasion, but for books like this, a Mark Jewelers ASM 129 doesn't sell super often, they don't know how many times it's traded hands before and what the actual peak of the price was. So when they throw out this massive increase, it's not actually the truth, right? It's what they know, it's the most amount of data they currently have, but it's not the truth. It's actually on a decline from, what it was back in April. And I really thought about it that way of, hey, yeah, they're tracking eBay prices and this, that, and another. So there's some, information there, some data points, but it's really not a lot. It's not enough. I don't think it's enough to really get a true picture. So for me, I would think, hey, You know, if you see a book and they're trending, maybe they have a ton of data. Maybe they don't. But what I'll tell you is what we're seeing eBay sales prices versus the prices I'm seeing Instagram sales go for frequently, like places like Instagrails or Elite Comics, or in the con sales. I mean, I bought books at cons, you know, either over GPA, under GPA, you know, it all depends, and there's no way for them to track it. So all that to say, I genuinely don't think we should probably take top 10 lists or hot lists or whatever you want to call them too seriously. I think they're fun and interesting to watch. I think it's interesting to see, you know, here, there, what the market's moving. But when it comes to these apps and these hot lists, I say take it with a massive grain of salt, because it really changed my paradigm shift when it comes to looking at these. And I know there are some people that hate it just because of names attached, or some people hate it because they, you know, market manipulation. I don't even care about any of that. I was like, you know what? It was my book, and they're throwing it out here like, what was my book? But like, oh, this was a record sale. No, it wasn't. I was bleeding money over here, guys. So with that being said, I don't think they're actually of much value like they were maybe, you know, 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, if they were around, or really eBay and auction houses were the only places online. So all of the things happening on Instagram and Facebook and cons, you know, there's no way to track those. So I don't think that these top 10 lists are genuinely something to really bet the bank on, if you will. You know what I mean? Sure, we can look at some trends, but after really being a part of this scenario and seeing like the alerts and all this, like, hey, here we go, big sale. No, it wasn't. It was a terrible sale. This idiot thought he was going to get his money back and he didn't. So with that being said, guys, let me know what you think. Honestly, like, do you just hate them, or do you love them and never thought of it this way? Like I said, I'm pretty neutral on things and just didn't really think about it in this manner until this happened to me. So we're hot 10 comics lists, or top 10, or any of these other lists that are out there. Are they still worth it? Let me know your thoughts, because honestly, this is a conversation. If you're new to comic books, these lists can get you going. They can get you excited. And if you've been here for a while, then they might irritate you a little bit and just kind of tired of the hype, you know, the hype mans all the time. So let me know what you think. You're the best part of Two Brothers Comics. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it out. And as always, collect your way.